Hello, reader. Thank you for joining. This is the Christian Readers Community Podcast. On this podcast, we will be discussing with fellow readers and authors. You will never lack for good conversations and recommendations of Christian books. If you're a lover of literary works, fiction and non-fiction, then you have made the right stop here. Thank you for joining us again, and I hope you listen to every podcast that we get to put out for you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Christian Readers Community. It's a new year, and I'm so glad to be back. And thank you to everyone who is listening. My name is Faith, your host, and I hope we'll have a bigger and better 2024. I'm very grateful for last year, and I'm looking forward to a greater and a better time with everyone who's currently listening to this. Once again, Happy New Year. Today, I came with someone. I'm not alone as usual. I came with someone, and she's going to be speaking to us all the way from North Carolina rather. And she is a rising author that's making her way into the Christian literature industry. Trust me, this is someone you don't want to miss when her book comes out. Her name is Tema Banner. Welcome to the show, Tema Banner.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for your kind words. I appreciate that so much.
Thank you so much. I'm going to tell you something, Tema, before we start. I'm in Nigeria, and you're in North Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand that this is your winter season over there.
Correct. It is.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Over here, we don't have the 4 seasons you guys have. Yeah, we don't. So we are currently in what we call dry season. Yeah.
So you have it's like a dry and a wet season. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, just that we call it rainy season. So that's what we call it here: rainy season, dry season. Although this year's own have been very weird. I mean, it usually the dry season starts. I think that should be October to the end of January or February, but we hardly experienced dry season. As a matter of fact, it just rained last week here. Yes, so the weather has been behaving very strangely, but during dry season over here, everything just goes dry, and you better be careful. And I think my best season is the rainy season. Yes,
is the temperature the same regardless of whether it's wet or dry?
No, it's very cold during the dry season.
Okay.
Yeah, very cold, and like I told you, you could just dry. Let's say you finish washing your clothes and you put it out to dry. Just let's say you wash something as hard as a jean trouser or a jean jacket. Mm-hmm. Just come back in 1 hour and it's as dry as a dried food. So it's it will be very okay for you to use. Unlike rainy season that because of the weather, it might take days. So
yeah.
Both seasons have their own advantages and disadvantages. But I think I'll prefer the rainy season anytime, any day.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to sometimes learn to enjoy a season that you might not necessarily like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. So that now that we are done talking about the season, I believe you had a wonderful Christmas and a beautiful New Year celebration as well, right?
I did. Had our Christmas was delayed a little bit. We ended up celebrating Christmas on New Year's because people in my family were sick. So we had to push it off a little bit, but then we all got together and it was just wonderful. It was really a good time, a real joyful time. So yeah, it was great. And I hope you enjoyed the season.
Very well. Very, very well. A few days before Christmas, I was sick, but I recovered. I got myself and I was ready for the Christmas work. And because my mom has this old school tradition that will make you, during Christmas season, we cook, we do so much cooking. It's still what most people do here, but some people have, kind of abandoned it, but we still do it here in my family. We cook a lot, we fry, we bake, do so many things and distribute to people. So to me, that was basically what I did on the 24th and 25th of December, 2023, just like other years. And by the time we were done, I was so exhausted that I just had to go straight to bed. But it was very fulfilling to me, knowing that we were able to reach out the love of Christmas and the love of Christ to several people. Yeah. So it was wonderful. Very wonderful.
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, listeners, thank you. And I wonder what it was like for you during Christmas. I hope it was beautiful. I hope you had a wonderful time with family and friends, or if you spent the season alone, I hope you spent it, in good spirits. Now like I said earlier, and you've heard her voice. Her name is Tema Banner, speaking to us all the way from North Carolina. And she, like I said earlier, she's an author that's rising in the Christian literature world. And you don't want to miss out, because she's going to be telling us why you wouldn't want to miss out on her book when it's finally released. So Tema, for those who are meeting you for the first time or hearing your voice for the first time, Tema Banner is she works with a financial industry. She is a wife, a mother, and a grandmother, and she is a woman who grew up loving the Lord and loving books as well. Now she's decided that she's not just going to be a reader, but it is time to become a writer. It's sort of like all those books you've been reading, sort of like they've been planting fruits in your life, and now it's time for you to, it's time for them. They've been planting those seeds to write in your life, and now it's time for you to, bear the fruits. It's time for everyone to enjoy the fruit of that labor, the fruit of that seed that has been planted in your life via reading from childhood till date. So, Tema, tell us about your book, the book you're currently working on.
Yes,
would like to know.
The story I'm currently working on, it's the first in a series of 3 stories, and the setting is ancient times. It's in biblical days, not to be confused with the biblical fiction. It is a historical fiction, but the setting is biblical, and it really is a story of redemption of an Israeli girl who was ostracized from her community. She's separated from her child, and she finds herself in Egypt trying to get back to her child. So it really came to me from something I was watching, a National Geographic program some years ago, and the archaeologist had found this grave, and it was in the Sahara, and the grave was, thousands and thousands of years old, but they could tell that there were flowers placed on this grave, and it just made me think of how we have not really changed so much. I mean, even today we take flowers and we place it on their loved ones' graves. And I wondered about these people and what had happened to them, and, what had happened to the families they left behind. And so that's how the story grew in my mind. It was really the story of the people who were left behind and what they faced. And I thought about, how our God is all-seeing. Sometimes we might not feel like he sees us. And in this story, the main character, Tirzah, she doesn't feel like God sees her. She feels like she's very alone. But she comes to realize that God does hear her, and he does see her, and he is always watching out for us. And so it is a romance story. There is a character that she runs into who's the hero in the story, and who helps her to realize this. So I'm enjoying writing it. I had not thought that I would write such an ancient period. It's very overwhelming to learn everything and to try to teach yourself about ancient times and what people went through and how they lived. So it's been a lot of fun to learn, but also overwhelming, because there's so much of that period to kind of absorb.
I've always wondered about the reason why people go as far as the biblical times, or just a couple of years after the biblical time to write about those. I've always wondered how you fiction writers, historical fiction writers, how you do this, how you go back in time and not just capture the lives of these people that lived centuries, thousands of years even before you were born, and you managed to do this so accurately and so beautifully. So what I'm just going to reserve my opinion until when this book comes out. But really, from the explanation, I'm really, really eager to start to read this book, and I do hope it releases very, very, very soon, because I love historical fiction, especially the ones set during the Bible days. Now, you said something earlier. You said this book was set during the Bible days.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask, what are the characters? Are there any biblical characters that are fictional in your book, that you featured in your book?
So you have books that are written that are called biblical fiction, and usually they have a biblical character in them that plays a very prominent part in the story. But what I have written is a historical fiction, and the setting is biblical, but I do not have any biblical characters in the story. All of the characters in the story are fictional. They are not. It's set in the days of the judges. So in the Old Testament, if you're reading the Judges, that's the time period that it's set in. But I don't have any biblical characters that are prominent in the story. And I know there are authors who write biblical fiction, and I've read a lot of biblical fiction. I enjoy it. But that's not exactly what I write. The stories that I feel God has given me are of fictional individuals. I like to think of the people who lived in those times and the laws that they had to adhere to. But I do not try to create a biblical character. That's just not what I write. And as far as your question of how you choose that time, I always have loved history. I've always enjoyed historical stories. I really did not expect to write in this time period, but when the story came to me, and I have said many times, Lord, this story will have to come from you, because I would never have picked this time period to write. I've really enjoyed all that I've learned and the research I've enjoyed, but it's not easy to write that far back and to make sure that you're being accurate in everything, because it's a really long time, and there's so much research out there, and there's so much history that you have to dig into. So I always say, Lord, this is whatever it becomes, it's because of Him, because I don't think I could have done this by myself in any way.
Mm-hmm. And that's the intriguing thing about what I was telling you. I always wondered, but I always wondered how, the level of the mental labor it takes to be able to write not just any historical fiction, but the one that is set as far back as the Bible did. Because the languages, the dress style, the structure, the places, everything is absolutely different from what we had even 500 years ago.
Yes.
So it's very, very intriguing too. It's something that I always wonder. I've always wondered about it, and I think it's enough to really applaud you for taking that ride, for taking that journey. Now, you're done writing this book, right? You're done with the book. You're currently in the process of in the final process of publishing.
Correct. I am trying to get a publisher and an agent to represent me. So I'm not doing self-publishing at this point. I may consider that later, but right now I'm trying to connect with a publisher and an agent who would represent me and who would want to publish the story. So I have sent it to a publisher. I'm waiting to hear back. Sometimes that can take a good bit of time. So, so you play a little bit of a waiting game to see what they will say and whether they are interested or not. I would say that if I do not get a traditional publisher, I will probably consider doing self-publishing, but I would prefer to do traditional.
Yeah. Any route you decide to take is you end up taking after everything is over. I believe it's going to be worth it, because like I said earlier, from the book description I read, when I read the excerpt from the book, I was like, okay, this looks like one of those good ones. So I'll really, really be looking forward to that one. Then, now that you're currently in the final stage of publishing, I'd like to ask you, because you've had the experience of writing, researching, editing, and any other experience you had while bringing out or while writing or producing now this historical fiction or historical romance. With this experience you've had, would you like to go at it again and again, or is this a one-time thing?
Oh no, I want to continue. Yes, I have 2 other books in this series. I know the names of them. I know a little bit of what the stories are going to be about. And so I want to finish this 3-book series. And then after that, I don't know if I'm going to continue another series in the biblical time period, or if I'm going to write something that is a little bit more recent, like say 1600s, 1500s, up to, the 1800s. So that I don't know yet, but definitely I have many stories yet to tell, I think.
Okay.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I do hope to continue to write. It's always been something that I desire to do. And so I don't want to stop with just one. I hope I write many more.
Oh, that's wonderful then. I always like asking these questions because I'm very interested to know the answer. Now, as a writer, as a Christian writer, I understand that, every writer has a message to pass across to their readers, except for those who are just writing probably because it's become a hobby to them. So for you, with this book that you're about to publish, this one you've written, and every other book that you plan to write in the future, what is that message that you want to pass through to your readers?
That God loves us so much, and that He wants this relationship with us, and that He sees people no matter where they are, no matter what they have done, no matter how hidden or alone they may think they are. He sees them and He loves them. And He did everything that He did, sending His Son for us, because He wants a relationship with us. And I want all people everywhere to have that, because it is the most wonderful relationship you can have. And I want everyone to have that with Him. So that is my message. That's why I write.
All right. Have you given this book a title?
Yes, it's called The Weaver's Dream.
Okay. Now, everyone, watch out for The Weaver's Dream by Tema Banner when it comes out, because we'll definitely be announcing it on this platform as soon as it's out. And I'd like to ask you another question. How did you come up with this title, with the title for this book?
Well, I knew that she was going to be a weaver. The character is a weaver. The word dream has many sides to it in this story. It is her dream to be accepted, to have a family, to be respected. So those are her dreams. But the hero in the story has an actual dream that God, Yahweh, speaks to him in. So it's a multiple faceted word for the story. It has 2 different. One is a literal dream, and one is her dreams for her future. And so all of us have dreams for our future. And God has a plan for all of us. So when we connect the 2, when we realize how much God loves us and the plan that He has for us is so much better, it fulfills all the dreams that we think we have. So Terza's dream is just, and I don't know if the when you traditionally publish, sometimes publishers change the names of your story. I hope they will, but I have to be flexible and see what they say. They know more than I do.
But your name will remain the same either ways. Yes.
If they change the name, I will let you know.
No problem. Of course. And once again, I wish you all the best with the publishing. And let's go to another question that I'd like to ask you.
Okay.
Now, as you've had the experience of writing, like I said earlier, you've had the experience of writing, publishing, researching, and now trying to land a deal with a publisher. What would you say have been the most challenging part of your journey as a writer and now almost as a published author?
The most challenging part for me is having to realize what I need to do marketing wise, because most writers are introverts and they're not really that comfortable doing marketing and social media and those kind of things. But publishers look at that a lot. Like, they look to see how many followers you have. They look to see how many readers are interacting with you. They want to see that you have a platform. And that's very challenging because I'm not really a tech person. So, and since I work a full-time job, I also don't have a whole lot of time to spend trying to figure out those things and do them. So that's the most challenging. The research I love, the writing I love. I mean, yeah, I run into, situations where I have to fix things in my writing. We have critique partners and they've been wonderful to help me see things that I don't see. So, but that is not, to me, that's not difficult. The difficult part is the marketing and trying to connect with readers and, to reach out to them and to connect on that level through social media. That can be a challenge.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, now, whether you end up publishing this book traditionally or independently, what will you take as what would be the most rewarding aspect of this writing and publishing for you when you're done?
It will be to hear from readers that it has made a difference, that it has encouraged them, that it has helped them to deepen their relationship with God, because that's my goal. So to hear from readers that it has done that would be the most rewarding to me.
Oh, that's wonderful then. And wow, this has been wonderful. It has been wonderful talking with you, Tema. And I know when we were speaking behind the microphone, you said something about your name being from being a biblical name,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Would you mind telling us what it means? I'm just curious. This is just a curious question.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit about where it is in some places in the Bible, and you can look it up. If you remember the story of Hagar, and Hagar was Abraham's, his wife's maidservant that she gave to him to have a child with, and she had Ishmael. So one of Ishmael's sons' name was Tema. So it's a male name, at least in the Bible. And then you will see in Job, one of Job's friends was called a Temanite. And it's in Joshua too. I can't remember the exact reason, what the reason was in Joshua, but it's in Joshua. And it means the South. It means the South and warmth. but mostly I think it means the South. So if someone was a Temanite, they probably came from the South of wherever the person was from.
Yeah, do you like the United States of America?
I am in the what's considered the southern part of the United States. So that applies. And that's where it comes from. And I will say another little story. I was blessed enough to go to Israel in 2020. And while I was there, we were visiting the Dead Sea area. We were in a shopping center, and, we had our name tags on. You would wear lanyards, it had your name on it. And we were walking around in this shopping area, and someone called my name. And of course, if someone calls your name, you look. And it was someone who was from there. And he smiled and he said, "That's a good name." And he pronounced it exactly like I do. I get called.
Ooh.
Yeah. A lot of times people mispronounce my name. Sometimes they say Tema, and sometimes they say Tina. But he pronounced it exactly like I do. So I was thrilled, because I said, all these years I knew I was pronounced, and I wondered. I said, it's a Hebrew and Arabic, I guess, name. So I didn't really know if how I was pronouncing it and my family pronounced it was correct, but it was how we said it. And so when I heard it there, and it happened 2 times while I was in Israel, 2 separate times around the Dead Sea, and when I was in Jerusalem, somebody recognized it and said it and said it exactly like I do, and smiled and just nodded. And so that made me feel very welcome and very good about, how I have always pronounced it. So.
Wow, that's wonderful. That was really, really a beautiful experience you had there in Israel.
It was.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank God. It's fine. It's a nice one. Thanks for sharing that. So, Tema, before we go, I'd like to ask if you have a channel where people can reach out, maybe a social media, a website, mailing list, and all. Mm-hmm. By the way, let me give this in the spirit of full disclosure now. I'm currently signed up to your mailing list, because like I said earlier, I'm waiting for your book to come out. So I'm currently signed up. So I know you have that platform for reaching out to readers. So which other platforms do you have that someone would be able to, connect with you?
So, of course, there's my website, and you can join my newsletter from my website. So that is www.temabannerauthor.com. You can also follow me on Facebook at Tema Banner. And I'm also on Instagram at Tema Banner. So any of those places you can connect with me. I would love to hear from your readers. And, to learn about them, and for them to learn more about me. It'd be great.
Oh, very well. Thank you so much, Tema. It has been a wonderful conversation with you. And I do hope that when I invite you next time, you would be willing to join us again.
I would certainly enjoy that, and I appreciate you taking time to speak with me and welcoming me, and it's just been a pleasure, and I thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well. All right, everyone, you've heard from a new author. She'll be publishing very soon. You can sign up, follow her social media, visit her website, sign up to her newsletters or mailing list, sign up so that you would get the latest updates. And yes, for those who do not know, and like I said earlier, I am currently signed on to your newsletter, and I got a book from a free PDF on it's about the scriptural confessions, right?
Yeah, meditation.
Tema.
Yeah, it's yeah, and anybody who signs up for the newsletter will get that. It is a PDF, and it is a 30-day scripture meditations.
Okay, because I got the book. I've not yet opened it yet. I've not started reading, but I plan to start working on it because, like I said, this week, being that it's New Year, we've just resumed. So I'm going to start looking into that one as well, because I really, really love scriptural meditations. I grew up with it. My mom made sure, that we meditated on scriptures while we were growing up. So I really, really love scriptural meditations, and I'm grateful for what I will get from it. And anyone who likes reading, or who likes meditating on the scripture, or you're looking for something that will keep you going for this year, you need something to start the year with. You sign up to our newsletter so that you'd be able to get that scriptural meditation. I believe it's going to be of great help to you. So everyone, thanks once again for joining us. Thanks for listening to this. And you can check out the previous episodes that we've published. Also, follow us so that you'll be updated whenever we upload new content. And to make sure that you don't miss out on anything. Thank you once again for joining us. Until I come your way again, I'm saying bye-bye. Remain safe, remain blessed. Talk to you soon.